Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. You know, yesterday we were just watching, they showed the trailers for the live-action Netflix One Piece and Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Right, the GLORIO blog favorite One Piece and also some show I've never heard about.
Yeah, noted anime Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I was just wondering, like, can we get some of that Netflix money? Can we get like a live-action GLORIO adaptation?
Well, as opposed to what it is now, definitely not live action.
Clearly all anime characters, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah, it's true, I suppose.
It would be like a really exciting... what would it even look like? We buy some stock footage of people typing on a computer and like voiceover.
Sure. Cowboy Bebop at his computer.
We just read our Discord chat.
I mean, I can't be.
It's like Durarara.
Yeah,
I can't be in a Netflix show anymore because as of last week, I'm already cancelled.
Meanwhile, I've signed an exclusivity arrangement with Disney Plus. So, you know.
Did we cancel you, Aqua, for Birdie Wing?
I still haven't listened to that podcast. I was out.
Yeah, well,
I was gone.
We've temporarily reinstated you for now, but anyway. This is supposed to be our summer 2023 preview show, which it kind of is, but
in the loosest sense of the word.
It's looking really grim, folks, and I know I say that a lot.
Summer season tradition.
I know I say that a lot, but as I was going through the list, I was like, "Oh man, there is nothing on here that I am excited about watching next season." And to be fair, once again, there's always something that surprises us and pops up.
And
there are a lot of
summer is traditionally the season where, you know, a lot of crap gets dumped. It's rarely the season where high profile shows are put it that way.
And there are a lot of things that look like they're okay, but I'm just like not excited to get into. But we'll get into that a bit more. But we have to introduce everyone, of course. So I'm Jel. I am joined by Iro.
I'm still here. I'm not dead yet.
You're back with us, Iro.
Survived the horrors of Boston.
I was never in Boston. You keep saying Boston.
I
was in Pennsylvania the whole time.
It's completely fine to have erased Boston from your memory.
We drag you
I, in fact, am legally bound not to ever mention the name of the city of X again.
We drag you back out of the depths of hell to podcast once more. Ironically, I'm going to be going to Boston soon, but that's another story for another day.
I saw a bunch of Amish over there.
Well, in Boston?
You were in that part of Pennsylvania. Wow, I've been out that way.
Amish in Boston.
All right, let's keep moving before that joke. Well, it's already dead, but let's move on. We're not joined by G today, unfortunately. He couldn't make it. But
yo, mecha anime. I like girls with short hair. Y'all.
Hope these two crazy girls can make it in this messed up world this week.
But yes,
save that talk for the Birdie Wing / Gundam segment.
We're joined by once again by Aqua.
Not from Boston.
Not from Boston, and we're joined by Zig.
Yep, got to keep having me on to make up the numbers there.
Hey, that's my privilege.
We're gonna get a rating spike now because you both are on.
Sweepstakes,
for sweeps. Yeah.
Once again, an equal balance of GLORIO USA and GLORIO general vicinity of Europe.
GLORIO.
Yeah. Legally not Europe.
World.
Yes, legally not all Europe. Anyway,
GLORIO rest of the world.
GLORIO, the continent, not the administrative legislative body.
All right. Well, let's talk about anime.
The season preview. What's coming up next season, Joe?
Yeah. So, like I said, it's not a lot that we're particularly excited about. And I thought this would be a good time.
What's in the box? Pain. Nothing but pain.
Yeah. I thought this would be a good time to mention something that I don't know if we've ever talked about this on the podcast, but when we started the GLORIO blog, we kind of just indiscriminately covered every single show that ever came out. It was a lot.
Much against our better interest, yeah.
Yeah, I think our stated aim was to at least write up previews for everything which came out every
That's right. Yeah, and I'm talking about previews. We wouldn't for the full season cover every show, but at least as far as first looks, we would cover.
We still did shit like Level Action and Chocolate back then.
Yeah, yes, the eternal D-list example, Level Action and Chocolate, but over the past maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 years or something, I've scaled down the amount of shows we do previews for because they're kind of, frankly, we've run out of things to say about them.
Also, there's just a lot more anime in general. There are more shows coming out.
Mathematically, not so much, but no, not really. But for example, I'll use the less malicious example. If I see a multimedia idol project and I take a look at the preview and it just looks like every other idol show ever made, I don't typically assign it. And again, with the asterisks, if there's some kind of something interesting or special about it that we can tell from the preview, maybe we'll throw it in there. But for the most part, these days, I'll probably skip those unless somebody really wants to check them out. But the most prominent, I think, of the genres is our, fantasy reincarnated into another world isekai trash that just does not seem to go away or die down. Or
and before people get pedantic with isekai, we mean everything that is isekai adjacent. So it doesn't need to be literally, oh, I reincarnated into another world. That's a fact. We mean all the kinds of
VR MMO,
generic escapist video gamey Dragon
Quest. I was kicked out of my adventure party, but I'm the brank ass healer man.
Let me tell you, I counted 7 shows that are specifically reincarnation based. Isekai, without even counting the adjacent ones. There were 7 of those this season, including the return of Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation.
The Masterful.
Horny baby.
Unexplainably, extremely popular. I don't know why that one out of all the other ones. It's
completely explainable. It looks fantastic, and people are perverts.
My understanding is the novel of that is one of the earlier, formative genre works, is why it's popular.
It's the original being a pedophile is okay as long as you're a gentleman about it.
I think it's the original truck also.
God.
The original hit by a truck scenario.
Yeah,
well,
that's what I've heard. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, well, anyway, my point is we kind of don't talk about them at this point because there's nothing else for us to say. I'm going to randomly grab one at random here.
Is there one where he's a vending machine? Oh, no,
yes,
go ahead.
We'll get to that. But am I actually the strongest? And I'm reading this off of antichart.net, source light novel. After being a shut-in, Haruto is reincarnated as a baby, and amazingly, that baby is a prince. However, he's abandoned in a forest on the day he's born because of his low magic level. What will be the fate of Haruto, who was inadvertently given 1,000 times the normal amount of magic by the goddess of reincarnation without anyone noticing?
Joe, are you just reading descriptions off mid-2000s fanfiction.net?
This is ChatGPT.
This is I asked.
I
asked ChatGPT to write a isekai novel premise for me, and this is what they spit out. So, what are we supposed to do with that, folks? I feel like it would be a waste of time for me to. And it's not even a judgment of whether it's good or bad at that point. It's we've
to what end
done it 100 times already.
To be clear, we're not looking to dunk on anyone who enjoys this. More power to you. But I think over the years we've made it clear this is not something we as a group enjoy, and not really something we as a group can offer much commentary on.
I mean, honestly. More power to you, indeed, because that's all you get from these shows. They give you the impression that you have power.
They've kind of, I will say, they have kind of expanded out into different. I mean, I think just out of sheer numbers, you have to kind of expand out into slightly different genres and things. But like Aqua, you mentioned there's the weird vending machine one, and it's like, all right, that's probably like some kind of, and I'll probably check that one out if we're being honest. But
I was going to say that what is it, reincarnated as a vending machine? I Wander the Dungeon or something like that.
Yeah, and it's I mean, it's the art at least is funny because it's literally a vending machine with anime eyes slapped onto it, and it's like, all right, that might be funny for like one episode or something.
Yeah, that
right?
sounds like enough of a goof to give a look at least.
So there are some exceptions to this, but like overall, it's some things that just like we've been there, done that. We don't need to say it again. So
the thing is, like 70% of these are so-called parodies of isekai, but anime is terrible at doing parody because it will always have its cake and eat it too.
Right.
Like,
so
and that's just what I think when I see something like reincarnated as a vending machine.
Yeah, and it's like, it'll probably be exactly the same. It's just the main character just happens to be a vending machine, which is funny in itself, but not. You can only take that so far, right?
Yeah.
All the girls will probably still be in love with him somehow, and
they all want to stick their coins into him. Wait,
but like what am I?
No, that's Gleipnir.
Like, what are we supposed to do with my unique skill makes me OP even at level 1? That's literally the title. Like, I mean
we could dunk on it.
Yeah,
I'm fascinated by like the pipeline that allows these shows to exist, because these are all like 90% of these are all the same fucking things posted on the web on like letsbeanovelist.com or whatever it is.
And that's interesting.
And just like there are probably hundreds of thousands of this just dumped on there every day by, I don't know, like internet using folks who read nothing but isekai and decide to write their own isekai. And but the like somebody's job at like Kadokawa or whatever, like someone is trawling that website,
sort by like, popular and pick
popularity, pick which one, hire some mangaka to do the manga adaptation, in like
hire an editor to cut out all the like really egregiously gross stuff,
and like get someone to hire a like arrow artist off Pixiv to design the cover or whatever. And like I'm not saying this to like dunk on any of the people as part of this process.
I mean, from their perspective, hey, get paid, right? Like,
right.
But
it's just fascinating to me that this exists.
What I also find very interesting is that due to the origins of this genre as like self-published stuff, I think that's the only reason why this has not collapsed onto itself in like lawsuits and copyright infringement cases. Because all of these are the same. Like, if you could easily imagine the guy who wrote Mushoku Tensei, like, getting out there and being like, yo, all of these people are ripping me off.
It's very hard to copyright a literary concept.
Copying literary ideas is hard, but
anyway, the point is that, like, we don't really have, like, it's not worth the time or effort to just go over shows which are, essentially the same, but just with a few minor tweaks every time. Anyway, look forward to the new Sentai series.
That's different. That's a long and storied history.
I mean, in a few years, Isekai will have a long and storied history.
Don't talk to me about this. Yeah. I mean, whatever. Sword Online's like literally one of the first things we ever covered, right?
Yep. And that was 10 years ago. So, almost 11 years ago. Yeah. We're hitting 11 years ago. So,
look,
anyway,
what it essentially boils down to is that like 99% of these shows are qualitatively abhorrent at best and morally abhorrent at worst.
Right.
Like, that's just a thing. They're just bad. We do not like them. So
it's just bizarre to me almost to go on the internet and see people who like consume so much of it that they will. It's like people will look at random ass new isekai and like ignore that it's the same as everything else and pick out the one quote unquote new thing and gimmick of that one and be like, wow, this one's got a cool, interesting thing. Like, and it's just it's the same genre as all the other things that I love.
I mean, this is not very different from how like a lot of fantasy in the 2000s was just, you got your elves and your dwarves.
Yeah.
You have your D&D stuff. It's your Tolkien D&D mashup with an extra gimmick to stand out.
Mhm.
And just like how back in that day it was expected for a fantasy novel to have elves and dwarves and orcs, nowadays it's almost as if it is expected that a fantasy novel has, reincarnation and video game mechanics, and the basic enemy is called a slime and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I think I counted 7 shows that were specifically reincarnated into fantasy world. I was not even counting, like, we've got a couple Demon Lord shows which are adjacent, including the return of Devil as a part-timer, and what is this other one? Level 1 Demon Lord and One Room Hero. I'm sure that's all in the same neighborhood. Like,
is there anything villainous this season?
Oh no, yeah. There's the most heretical last boss queen from villainous to savior. So we've got that genre covered.
Yeah. Don't. But if you talk poorly about villainous shows, people get into your mentions and say that you're baiting them.
What?
We need to move on from this.
Yeah, we need to move on. People on the internet are going to say what they want to say, but hey, you know what? If any of these turn out to be good, please let us know. But we're probably not going to cover most of them. I will probably check out the vending machine, though. All right. Let's talk about a couple other shows. Couple of returning things going... Not that I'm necessarily excited about these, but I feel like they're worth mentioning. Everybody remember Horimiya? I want to say...
Yeah, we only mention Horimiya once every podcast.
We talk about it strangely a lot. But
the beginning of Horimiya
episode OVA series is ever.
Yeah, because the beginning of Horimiya is like pretty good.
It's fantastic.
I guess to me it's funny because I watch a million of those type of shows. And it just felt like another one of those to me. But for some reason, that's like the one that everybody watched in the GLORIO blog.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's mostly because Iro ended up like reading the manga for some reason or other and said it was good. Like,
I just genuinely thought it was pretty good.
It was. So, if anybody doesn't remember Horimiya, it's a kind of nice school romantic comedy where the main couple actually has a nice relationship and they actually get together. And it was good. That part of it was good. But then there was also like, I felt like they tried to get into the side cast, and the side cast not so good.
Yeah,
like the main premise, main premise of Horimiya was like an opposites attract kind of thing, right? It was a girl who was like a slob at school, but actually very responsible at home, versus
I felt like
a guy who's very straight laced, but is like a punk in his private life.
I feel like they very loosely worked with that concept, but it was not.
I mean, as is always the case with these shows, because at some point they realize that you cannot make an entire show based off that premise, and that they introduce a side cast, and the show becomes about all these characters.
You also cannot like make an entire show based on that premise when you take the main guy and like give him about as much edge as a bar of soap.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I was saying. They were trying to say he was like some edgy guy because he had like piercings or something, and like
even before he was de-edged, he was not very edgy, and once he was de-edged, he just became the softest boy in the universe, and it kind of.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the point. Like, he looked like a delinquent, but he just liked the aesthetic. Like,
I think Zig's point is like he didn't really change at all. Like, right? It was just like he wasn't even like that edgy to begin with, or didn't even appear that way. But anyway, so the new series, Horimiya, The Missing Pieces, is apparently going to focus on the side stories that did not get told in the main story. And I could not be less interested.
An entire series of stuff that was not good enough to make the cut.
The problem is, like, some of the stuff that did make the cut in season 1 shouldn't have, and some of the stuff that they're going to show now should have been in there instead, right?
Okay.
Is how I feel about it.
So you'd rather just have them make one good season 1 instead of 2 half good season 2s? Yeah,
like
two half good seasons. Yeah.
For example, like I don't even though it is a cliche by the standards of the genre, the like school festival arc, you would have been better off putting that in season 1 instead of the like instead of the Hori likes getting punched arc.
Oh yeah, that happened, huh? We're not going to drag that one back up, but yes,
it seems weird that you would explicitly do this, right? Like, the only thing I can think of is that it was a bigger success than they thought, and now they want the material.
Right. I mean, Horimiya is sort of one of those, like, it's quite popular in China, is my understanding. It was one of those things where I think it was a self-published webcomic, and then that was like popular enough to get a print version in a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind like considered a fairly well-regarded series, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad, just kind of like it went from what I would describe as interesting and good to really kind of wallpapery.
Right, we just kind of soured on it because it just kept going after.
Yeah.
And not in a good way.
Yeah,
they're doing this, and they were kind of doing the thing I hate, where now that the main couple's together, we have to get all the other cast paired up, and
which all of these shows, every single one of these shows does, and it's really up in the air whether it can succeed or not.
And also, the main characters become boring when they're a couple because, as we know, writers cannot write people in a relationship.
Right. Exactly. So it feels like it should have left well enough alone then, right? And we get our decent season 1, and we don't need this to happen.
Little do people know that this is not actually Horimiya season 2. This is just a Japanese show called Doki Doki Panic, which they redubbed with Horimiya characters.
Let's
you see, they're both designed by Shigeru Miyamoto, so really it's part of the same design lineage. So it's okay that you call out my brothers too.
Let's move on. We'll see if that turns out to be any good. I guess if Iro, you're saying I will trust your opinion if you're saying there are good parts left to adapt.
I'm not saying watch this, to be clear.
Iro wishes to be excluded from this narrative.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, it's not like we're going to watch anything else, so...
yeah.
Well, we might watch the next show on the list.
So, speaking of season 2s that I don't want to happen, let's talk about Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
And, okay, from my perspective, another genre we don't often cover are the big-name shonen shows, because, again, probably not a whole lot to say about them.
Mm-hmm.
But this was one of the big name shonen shows that probably the first one I've watched in like a really long time.
It was also an outing for noted GLORIO favorite Sung-Hoo Park.
Yes.
Right? But I was going to say,
yeah. So between noted GLORIO favorite director Sung-Hoo Park directing it, and I just kind of like the vibes of Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't know how other way to explain it. Particularly in the second half of season 1, when the cast kind of fills out and they kind of all become this, band of lovable dirtbags,
and just have a series of sick fights for 12 episodes.
And that get into a bunch of sick fights. Then yes, I actually really enjoyed the first season.
You clearly weren't alone, because this thing has had some pretty significant mainstream breakout.
Yes, right? I mean, this is one of the biggest things going. Like, I think after Demon Slayer, this is probably arguably the next biggest shonen thing going, right? Like,
I mean, in Japan certainly, but I meant in the West as well. There has been quite a lot of There's been a significant fandom in the West, which still worthy of note.
You can buy it in Walmart, folks. So
yeah. Well, you'd be surprised what you can buy in Walmart these days, my friend.
Oh, that's true.
I've seen Donghua Blu-rays.
So that said, why am I not excited about season 2?
It's not directed by Sung-Hoo Park anymore, so why should I care?
Well, there's that. And also,
it's going to be a flashback arc about the teacher.
Yeah. So the teacher guy...
The entire season?
I think half of the season. They've said it's because it's going to be 2 cores, and they've said it's going to adapt this arc and this arc. And so I think the first full core of that is going to be the flashback.
That's a long flashback.
What's the teacher's name?
Gojo.
Yeah. So he's like, so he was in the first season, and he's the dude with the white hair and the blindfold, and he's like super cool, super powerful. Nobody has ever even come close to.
He's like, I'm the strongest man who's ever lived, ever.
Harming him, and the fans love him. Everybody loves him. And so I guess whether or not that's the factor that went into what they were going to adapt for season 2 or what got written in the manga, I don't know.
I think it does. I think this is the next arc in the manga.
Yeah, I know it is in the manga, but like whether or not that factored in the decision, I don't know. But he's tremendously popular. I thought he was the least interesting character probably in the entire show. Of course,
it ain't no All Might.
Also, didn't we just have an entire movie of flashback like that?
Yes,
wasn't that
yes, that was not about him. That was about a that was like the pilot volume, which was about a different character who does not appear for a while.
Okay, so a slightly different situation.
And if they want to do a movie flashback, fine, whatever. Like that's what movies are for, right? But like, I don't know, like taking the and I guess this is personal preference because a lot of people love this character. Yeah. I thought he was not very interesting, and the idea of going back and having a flashback, half a season of that, is not appealing to me at all.
You're kind of making a show within a show at that point, right? Like like a 12 or 13 episode flashback is an entire show, basically.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't know.
Was in Naruto one
That's
episode.
Right. I'm calling you out, Kentaro Miura.
Berserk. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know how long it'll actually be, but they are billing like the
key art is of that, right?
Yes, is of that, right? Like you see him in his young school days or whatever.
I mean, the long flashback arc about the previous generation is like a Shonen Jump cliche at this point. Like Naruto had one that was pretty short. Bleach had one. One Piece had one. Like they're just all over the place.
So we don't have Sungho Park. Although I will say the trailer still looks pretty good. But
yeah, like, I was going to say, like, as much as we love Sungho Park, like I'm sure there are still very talented action directors as well.
Yeah. I don't want to diminish their ability. It's just like the reason I bothered with Jujutsu Kaisen was because I like Sungho Park's work. Yeah.
And like that, so like that alone wouldn't have stopped me from like being interested in it. But more so the content of like what's coming up is like, oh god, I'm just not interested in that at all. Because I mean, presumably the things that I came to like about Jujutsu Kaisen will not be there because it was the cast that they had developed and their relationships and were what was interesting to me. With the throwing in the cool fights as a nice icing on the cake, and I don't know if that's what we're gonna be getting. So. Yeah, it's just I wish I could be more excited for it, but I'll still check it out.
Yeah,
but
I never watched the first season, but I think it will be interesting to see if it can maintain the momentum and kind of cement its place as one of the new big properties.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine because, like I said, everybody else seems to really love this guy. So, it's probably just me being a cranky old man. I don't know.
I mean, that's what this podcast is for.
That's what we do here at the GLORIO blog. So, Ira, did you have anything else to add on that
nope.
one? Were you trying to say something at the end there?
Nope. That's okay. That's Jujutsu Kaisen season 2.
Okay. Let's move on to a couple other things I want to mention. The only show that actually caught my attention, and possibly for all the wrong reasons, this is the only title in English I've seen going around. I don't know if they'll come up with another one, but currently the Masterful Cat is depressed again today.
I feel you, Masterful Cat.
This is a show about a young woman who has a cat, and the cat grows up to be like a full like human size creature, I guess, and becomes her like housekeeper or something.
But he's still a cat?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at this key art now.
Still like cat. It looks like a good premise for a sort of silly comedy, which I love. The kind of mitigating factor here, though, is this is one of 2 shows being made by GoHands next season.
Oh, baby.
GoHands, most famously still for K, I guess, but also most famously for making some of the ugliest looking shows, such as Handshakers or...
I was just about to say, and this, like, nowadays they're way more infamous for Handshakers than for K. Like,
or any of the other... There's a couple
like
other shows they made.
W''Z or
I don't know.
Or
I don't remember how you
Tokyo
pronounce
Babylon adaptation where everyone was like, "Yeah, Tokyo Babylon anime by GoHands." Oh no!
I mean, they have an artistic vision and they stick to it.
They have a very distinct art style and direction. A lot of spinning cameras for no reason, which is very funny to me in this show, because if you watch the trailer, it's like, I forget exactly, she's like grabbing her keys or something off the counter and they decide to like spin the camera around as she's running out. I'm like, why are we even doing this? It's so... Part of it is it's an interesting combination of, I would probably watch this show under any circumstances because it sounds like a silly type of comedy that I would enjoy, but also the mix of the absurd GoHands style on top of it is just, there's the sort of the train wreck factor. So
okay, here's my pitch for it, which is, what if half the show were live action with someone in a big suit playing the cat, and also there was time travel in it?
So we call it like Gallon Cat or something.
Yes.
Yeah,
that would be a catchier title.
Gallon Kitty.
Yeah.
I will say people who want to have a good time should watch the trailer for a GoHands other show this season.
Yeah, what is that called?
I forgot her glasses.
Yeah,
which also contains some excellent craftsmanship ?
Yes,
imitating like Western prestige television.
I feel like that show more so embraces that their house style than the cat one, even more so. Like, that looks like Handshakers or in the other ones, which is certainly unique to say the least. Ironically, that also seems to have a pretty lighthearted premise.
I mean, there's a girl and he likes the girl, but she forgets her glasses.
So why even bother?
So that he can find the glasses again, and then she'd be like, "Thank you for giving me my glasses."
Apparently, she is being described as pathologically forgetful, and he has to, I guess, help her with her glasses. I don't know.
Whatever. Yeah.
And then he can pat her head and do all kinds of moe things.
Pants.
Yeah.
Well, will that show be good? Probably not, but I will check it out regardless.
Will it be an experience? Almost certainly.
Exactly. I'll take experience.
My glasses, but I had them on my head all this time.
Okay, we'll see how many times that happens. I'll probably watch the first episode of that too, just for the train wreck factor. All right, let's talk about Undead Girl Murder Farce.
That's a good name.
That sure is a name of a show.
Is this the one where she's got a little like cage?
Yes. So the main character is a
decapitated head
lady who is she's a disembodied head and being carried around in a bird cage by her vampire assistant and her maid. And this is like
this is the
This is like late 1800s vampires and werewolves kind of thing. They're solving murder mysteries, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, why not? It looks extremely anime as an adjective. Not necessarily a good adjective, but
I was going to say, is that the good version or the bad version?
The thing is, mystery anime always suck because they heavily rely on 2 tropes. One trope being the anime smart person, which is this insufferable stock character who is mostly smart because everyone else is stupid.
How dare you impugn Benedict Cumberbatch like that?
And speaking of Benedict Cumberbatch, the second problematic trope is the Moffat School of Writing, named after Sherlock writer Stephen Moffat, where a mystery is only created because the writer is deliberately withholding information. so the viewer can't figure the mystery out, and the sleuth will simply solve it by bringing up new information that no one was supposed to know about.
It's not a quote-unquote fair play mystery.
Right.
I mean,
and that's the problem all anime mysteries have.
I mean, the only thing I would say is I don't think that's an anime thing. I think that is a 90% of mystery stories.
Right.
But it is very, very typical in anime. Yeah. Because of anime's tendency to portray larger-than-life characters, perhaps. And like its focus on emotional intensity over structure or coherence.
I kind of get where you're coming from.
Yeah,
most of the shows that we're watching this season.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, writing good mysteries is hard, and writing a weekly good mystery show is incredibly tricky. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I think the hook on this one is the director, though, because it is being directed by Shinichi Omada, who has gotten on our radar for his two most notable projects, which have been obviously Kaguya-sama Love is War.
Yeah.
And, my personal anime of the decade, Shogen Rakugo Shinju.
Mm-hmm. Very different stories, right?
I was just about to say, just when we were talking about Gohans, remember when Dean was like the quintessential bad anime studio, and nowadays they're mostly only known for Rakugo Shinju? Like,
I don't know. I still think you say Dean, and people think of that first Fate Stay Night,
or the first Fate Stay Night anime. Yeah,
that's what I think of, but I'm broken that way.
Do the kids these days even know what Studio Dean is? Like,
do the kids these days even know what Fate Stay Night is?
It's that Fate Grand Order spin-off, right?
Yeah, they're gonna be like, oh, did you mean Fate Grand Order? Yeah.
He also directed Sankareya, if you remember that.
Yes, another very well directed show. That's going pre-GLORIO.
And the writer they got is the writer who did Inspector, which is like one of the few tolerable mystery anime.
Mostly tolerable because of its goofiness.
I mean, Nobuo Takagi has done. He's adapted a lot of shows that we like. He worked on Baku no Durara, Golden Kamuy.
So
he's doing the newer Legendary Elect Hero stuff.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Sure, that's an impressive resume.
So watching,
I mean, he looks like he is the guy you get if you want to adapt something with a lot of
novel.
Yeah. Which this is also based on a novel, so that might just be his area of expertise, like a proper novel, not a light novel.
Yeah, like Kaguya-sama Love is War, my favorite novel. Yeah, so if I were to watch this trailer cold, then I would not. It'd be like, whatever. It doesn't look awful, but it's like also like anime mystery, right? But
generic
because of the pedigree, I think
Yeah.
it's worth at least giving it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I do very, very much like those last two things that this director has done, but a lot of it, it's gonna be more the source material, right? Like,
what else are we gonna watch, huh?
Well, that might be the running theme here for this season, unfortunately. All right, let's talk about Ooku, the Inner Chambers.
I don't know much about this. I've merely heard about it.
G has mentioned it because he's mentioned it before and read the manga.
Yeah, this is speaking of Studio Dean. Is there
a thing like cerebral period pieces
who
now?
knows? Who knows? But my understanding is the plot of this is that in feudal Japan is struck by some disease that only affects men, and so a few generations later, women are in charge of all the social structure.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's a sort of like, let's explore feudal Japanese court intrigue and politics, but gender swapped.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I do find immediately interesting about that premise is that it is not the world was always like this. It is the world has changed into this.
Right,
so you're going to have like the conflict between
and this is also like before the Sakoku, right? Like before it opened up, like during the second, I should say.
Yeah. But like the thing is, you would have like these lingering gender roles that still exist,
right? And my understanding is it does
being conflicted with the new situation where men are a minority and women hold the power. Yeah.
So my understanding is it does like in fact get into that. That's what I've heard. Yeah. So that's all I know. It's directed by. Go ahead. It's directed by Noriyuki Abe, known for several long-running shonen anime.
Interesting.
He directed Yu Yu Hakusho and Bleach. And music by Kenji Kawai.
I mean, if anything, directing something like Bleach means that it's probably a very like prestigious thing to do, right? Because like
who knows?
No, because like running, not necessarily because Bleach is popular, but because like running
this guy has directed multiple shows that are over 100 episodes long.
Right, that's the thing. Like as an anime director, you're also, if Shirobako is to be believed, kind of vaguely halfway a producer. Like you sort of coordinate the production.
Mm-hmm.
And in that regard, like doing that for several 100 episode shows, that's pretty impressive. Like.
Well,
especially if you know the kind of conditions in which anime is made.
Well, it sounds interesting, and I suppose my my taste for court intrigue in medieval Japan is been piqued with the Heika story a couple years ago, which was my personal favorite anime that year. But that is cool though, the concept of like you said, Aqua, playing with that idea of like this is not how it's always been, because I think that would be a lot more boring. Because then it would just be like, okay, well then they're probably not really going to be functionally that much different.
I mean, it would also be very gender essentialist because it would imply that women do things differently. Because
exactly.
Are just different. Like,
I mean, I think the only thing which gives me pause here is that obviously, anime has not always had incredibly good gender politics, something which we might talk about in a bit. But, something like this requires a delicate touch and some smart writing, and I think that will be obviously the most important thing to see if they can get.
It is the manga is in a women's Josei magazine.
Sure.
Right. So that kind of puts it. Yeah, I think, and I agree with you, Zig. I do think we've seen some improvements in those areas over the years, but it's definitely still there. So I'm still raising eyebrows anytime gender comes up, right?
But I mean, the thing is also because we are mostly used to shonen and seinen anime. Like shoujo and yosei are not really corners we explore because they rarely get high-profile anime adaptations.
Right. That's also fair. Like I think there are still problematic gender.
Oh, absolutely. Like
as well, but
shoujo manga is some of the most misogynistic shit you can read. Like,
Well, if this, sorry, G, if you're listening, if we did not do this justice, we will have to have you talk about it next time. But it sounds interesting. I hope it's good. We'll take whatever we can get next season. So, beyond that, that's kind of it, guys.
Wow. Guess we'll have to go back to the Tomino Power Hour.
Yeah, I mean,
looks like next season will be spent catching up on all of the awesome Western television I've missed.
Like I said, I mean, there's always going to be something that jumps out at us.
Yeah, there's always something unexpected.
It's just at face value, looking at trailers, like everything either looks bad or looks like average, right? Like it's probably fine, but I'm not
maybe this Love Life spin-off that is like, what if the delusions of the Chunibo girl were real? And it's just Love Life,
what that is?
Yes, that's what that is. Maybe that's gonna be good. No, it's not.
Instead, everyone should just buy Live Alive, now out on PC and PlayStation, and play that.
Aqua, I expect your weekly write-ups on that, analyzing the psychology
on my desk, please.
Yeah. That's to make up for the Birdie Wing takes. But
I was gonna say that's to make up for the rap song I wrote last time, but no. Okay.
What?
Oh no, that was fine. Yeah,
That was
you
great.
you can write as many rap songs as you like. That's fine. Well,
all right, you
since
heard
we
it
don't
here,
have
folks, Birdie Wing diss track coming right up.
so speaking of Birdie Wing, since we don't have a whole lot to talk about on the preview show, I figured we would talk about some of the shows that we've been continuing to watch, including Birdie Wing, because I played the Birdie Wing Golf Girl Story game that came out this week.
Hell yeah. High profile AAA release.
Available for download in the Nintendo Switch eShop for $20 US. About
is it a birdie, or is it perhaps an eagle, or is it a bogey?
Well, let me put it this way: you can buy it for $20, and there's probably $3 to $5 worth of content in it.
Is it as good as a used copy of Tiger Woods' PGA Tour 2003 on the PlayStation 2?
Is that the one that has the episode of South Park in it?
I have no idea.
Wait a second.
Maybe.
Well, I don't want to get too distracted, but is that a real thing?
One of the Tiger Woods games to fill up disc on the space has an episode of South Park on it, I believe.
Yeah, well,
interesting.
Like not user
that's
accessible.
About all South
like,
Park is useful for. Yeah.
That sounds extremely. That sounds extremely 2000s.
I'm seeing that. I'm reading Tiger Woods 99 PGA Tour Golf on the PlayStation.
There you go.
The first 100,000 pressings contained an Easter egg, which was a QuickTime file of Jesus vs. Santa by Trey Parker, Matt Stone, commonly recognized as a precursor to South Park.
Okay. That is the most late 90s or late 2000s thing I've ever heard. A QuickTime file of a clip from South Park. Yeah. Anyway, the Birdie Wing game I wanted to talk about a little bit that came out last week. It could have been good.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You could have made a great game based on Birdie Wing.
There's actually foundationally there's like a decent like video game golf game in there.
I was going to say, this is just a golf game.
Yeah.
Golf games have not meaningfully changed in the past 35 years.
And if you played a video game golf game, it's pretty much, you'll be fine.
I mean, the mark
and I usually find those fun. But I need more than just like the golf part.
Right.
But in generally playing it is fairly fun. Like I played through all the story missions, which were extremely hard because there's no difficulty adjustments, and the computer stage 1 starts hitting birdies, so you have to learn how to play the game very good quickly. It was like,
I mean, it's called Birdie Wing.
I felt like I was playing like a Dark Souls boss or something, where I was just banging my head against it for a couple hours.
The Dark Souls of golf.
Yes,
which Dark Souls boss would play golf?
All of them, because they're all kings and nobles and shit.
Yeah. I've only played Elden Ring, so I can't say, but yeah. But anyway, so there's like I think the biggest problem. Well, you know what? Before I get to the biggest problem, the littler problem,
the smaller problem,
the biggest problem is.
I am like 99% certain the dialogue is machine translated.
Sure.
I think I posted.
Again, this is Birdie Wing. It could just be that intended to be that way.
No, but I mean the anime, the dialogue is like has proper grammar and spelling and everything.
Okay.
Right?
99% seems
$80 an episode translation.
Yeah, like 99% seems a little unfair. I would probably go with 102%.
100, yes, 110%. I think I posted
200.6%.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I posted some screenshots of it with you guys for you guys, but like the grammar, spelling, everything's awful. With that
they would not have put this out unless they could have done it extraordinarily cheaply.
Yeah. So. There's 2 game modes. There's a story mode and there's like kind of a free play mode thing. And when I saw the free play mode, the only characters you had available were like two Eves, 2 Aois, which are the same.
4 Eve.
Yeah, which were the same except for the outfits, basically. Helene, who is like the girl they fight in the first episode after like who's like the one guy's niece or something. You
Wasn't
forget
her
her
name
immediately.
Christina or something?
No. Okay, sorry. She's the second.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Christina's the first person.
Yeah.
Is she in there too? I think she's the only other character, maybe. And like, so I'm like, okay.
I know you could play as like the goth girl who hangs out with Rose. Wasn't she in there?
No.
Oh, okay.
What about Vipere?
So here's the thing. I assumed, and this is on me, I guess. I assumed that if I played the story mode, I would unlock the other characters.
That's a not unreasonable assumption, I would think. You don't get Vipere after you defeat Vipere?
You never see Vipere.
What
in this game?
Huh?
You never make it that far.
But she's the equivalent of like the level 1 boss in that show.
In the story mode, you get to the equivalent of about like, I don't know what the exact episode is. Right before you meet Vipere. So you've got
that's episode like 4.
So it ends with Tears of a Pac-Man. No, wait. Tears of a Pac-Man is when she plays Vipere.
Right? Tears of Pac-Man is right after Vipere, right?
Oh my god!
It has to. Yeah. So it
the first
ends
like 2 episodes.
But that's
it's basically
that's
like
just even how we meet. That's it. Like
So you play the match. The tutorial match is the first episode with Christina wearing the mask, right? And then you play against Helene, and then you play Aoi twice, like when they first meet, and they have like their one whole match or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the final thing is against Aoi when they play the U15 tournament. Because if you recall, they play the U15 tournament. Then they were supposed to have their match the next morning, but Eve gets pulled away to fight Vipere.
Yeah.
So they get to the U15 tournament, and then when you finish the U15 tournament, you get a to be continued screen, but nothing. As far as I can tell, there's no other content unlocks or anything, unless there's something. I didn't do the research. Maybe I'm missing something, or
unless you get a birdie, it doesn't unlock.
Yeah, maybe there's some way to unlock more content. Someone please tell me if I missed something.
You have to get the same scores in the anime.
But yeah, that was it.
Have you tried the contra code?
Yeah, right. Put in. Yeah, and what's funny is like, I would hope they would have at least like one full golf course, which is 18 holes, right?
Are you saying you do not even get 18 holes?
You do not get 18 holes.
How many holes do you get?
You get like 5.
Wow.
And you replay those 5 holes through 6 levels of the story, and then you get a to be continued at the end. So unless I'm missing something that's supposed to unlock, either they quit and just decided, yep, that's all we're gonna do, or there's gonna be it is Namco Bandai. Maybe they're gonna have DLC later. I doubt that. I think this is as much game as we could make in the time that we had. Here you go.
And
folks.
that time was 48 hours.
we had a month to make this game. Here you go. So the only positive I'll give it, aside from the golf itself, is fine. It's solid. Like, it works. Sure. It's fun. The 3D character animations are surprisingly good.
Did they steal any of them from the anime? Like,
not really. It wouldn't surprise me if they stole them from another golf game, probably. Sure. But they do look pretty good. And like in between holes, like if you like get a birdie or bogey or something, each character has like a custom silly little animation that they do that's kind of neat. And you know, I was like, all right, that's fine. But that's like one little dot of positivity. And like they don't even animate the bullets.
Do you get like a still frame cut in or something?
So that they could have, you could have just stolen the stock footage from the anime of Eve hitting the blue bullet, right? And you don't even get that.
As far as you told me, you can't even use the bullets. Like,
yeah, and you don't even like pick when you use the bullet.
Generic like increased accuracy.
You don't have special.
Yeah.
No, there's no button like you push this to use the blue.
You should have a little revolver chamber menu like Persona 3 or whatever, and each one should have you a different shot for your golf.
From what I could tell, I think it depends on what club you're using. So like I saw the blue and the red bullet depending on the club I was using, and I think there's a chance that it pops up when you hit like a perfect shot, like when you know how golf games always have the meters and you have to hit like the meter in the right spot.
Yep.
So if you hit a perfect shot, sometimes you'd get the Persona all out attack cut in with the eyes flashing on the screen and you saying,
waiting for this.
Blue bullet.
Uh-huh.
And the other characters have their own whatever phrases that they say that were badly translated. So anyway, do I feel like I wasted my money? Yeah, yes. But do I regret it? Probably not. It was a fun couple hours.
I mean, you got a few minutes of podcast content out of it. What more? We
got like 10 minutes of podcast content out of it. So there you go, folks. That's my kind of informal verbal review of Birdie Wing the game. There you go.
I will unalive you in golf.
We didn't even get to that part where she says, I'll kill you in golf. Yeah,
because it's like the end of season 1.
Yeah. That
would be in like Birdie Wing the game 5, as if they continue at this pace.
Yeah. Part 5, yeah. All right. As far as the anime goes...
DLC episode 5, yeah.
As far as the anime goes...
Yeah.
I'm not... There were some missed opportunities.
Yeah, really? You think?
And I know, Aqua, you're probably ready to get onto I told you so rant, but I'm not going that far yet. I'm still enjoying the Shakespearean tragedy melodrama that they've set up.
I do think let me do something. So do I, but that counts as my like 2 to 3 like good moments in an episode that is otherwise boring as golf. Like,
yeah. Zig, what were you going to say?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, like, I think the melodrama is absolutely the thing going for it at the moment. I think the thing which got me in the last episode was the final scene where Aoi's mum goes like, "What is it? Golf is killing them.
My life,
yeah, killing everything I love, or whatever.
Everything I love is being
golf
killed.
Is killing them all.
Yeah. That was
like
fantastic.
okay, that was like a laugh out loud, like terrific moment. It needs a little more of that. Really,
yeah.
I miss the dumb special moves. Is what I'll say.
Yeah. So I think
because we sort of had this thing where they were like, oh, if you're golfing the underground, that's when you need tricks and gimmicks. But if you're a real golfer, you just are really good at golf. And I'm like, no. What if they had tricks and gimmicks still? Though, wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah. And Aqua, I think you did call the new lady is boring.
Yep.
She has a few moments, like the bit where she's sitting, like surrounded by her advisors, each of whom advises her on a very specific aspect of like the weather.
The absurdity of her support team is good, but like her whole...
That is also like a cliche in sports shows, like the guys who just do it all by calculating and analyzing, and who are like, I don't have to play the game. The computer has already predicted that I have a 99.9% chance of winning.
Right. But the thing is, like,
she is also like except her own personality is like, I'm just gonna golf like I always do.
Right, like her quote unquote power is being boring, right? Like she's just like slow and steady or whatever.
Analytical
which is fine, I guess, but like I think I was more disappointed when they reveal that her name is the Lunar Empress, and she's like no, I will win, and I know it's gonna happen. And you think she's gonna like, when they say, and it's like, because I'm the Lunar Empress, and you think like, oh, is she gonna like get into something where like, I've judged by like, the rotation of the moon and the how high the tides are today. The ball is gonna go like, whatever. But it's like, no, she just noticed that it looks a little sick.
Is literally like keeling over after
it is keeling over. So and it's like, yeah, well, everybody could have seen that lady. I mean, that seemed like the biggest missed opportunity for me, especially for someone who's ostensibly the final boss here, right? Like, I
mean, that's the thing, right? She isn't. Like, the focus is on Aoi and Eve, and she's just kind of there as the third wheel.
Yeah, she's kind of a spoiler.
That's the problem, because her presence. Sorry, but her presence sort of ruins what is supposed to be the big epic showdown. Because this does not feel like a big epic showdown between Aoi and Eve. Like, they barely interact in this.
I mean, she's supposed to be like the last obstacle before they can have
the point is that they're not having the showdown yet because they had to get to the final round.
Is getting in the way.
Yeah. So
I mean, she's mostly just getting her ass kicked like every other enemy in this show.
Yeah. I think that across the course of the past couple of episodes, I've very much enjoyed the Aoi arc of you have the terrible golf disease now, but you must train your mind and body for one last round of golf. Like,
yes,
just the everything surrounding that is so ridiculous that it's produced some very, very funny scenes there.
Yes.
Also, before we forget, they called a golf tournament the Build Strike Open, and therefore this is the greatest show ever made.
Play the Build Fighters theme.
Yeah.
Also, that one time when they made a giant statue of Aoi out of wax and it melted.
God.
Oh, yes.
The shining wings of the wings of Icarus.
And Eve getting very excited about Aoi's 48-incher.
It's a hunk of raw iron.
Her new Shining 48 ability. The other disappointment I had, and look, I know it wasn't going to happen. All right, let me just say that first. But when Aoi starts collapsing and Eve is dramatically running over to her, I'm like, is she going to Prince Charming kiss her back to life?
There's still time.
I mean, it's anime. They're never going to.
It's not going to happen. I know, but for like 1 second. But for like 1 second in that scene, I was like, she's going to Prince Charming her? Is this going to happen? Are we doing this? And instead she just violently shakes her. But
the perfect thing to do for somebody with
I mean, this is still Eve we're talking about. Yeah. Like
that was I mean, sure, from Eve's point of view, that is the greatest expression of love she could have shown to Aoi. But I was just for a second in my mind, I was like, are they going to do it? Is it going to happen? And no, of course it's not going to happen. But anyway, I think, we're I'll admit we're floundering a bit toward the end here, but I'm still enjoying it. If we can just make it through the last episode.
I do hope they can pull out a little something for the last episode.
If we can make it through the last episode, I'll still have a very positive impression of Birdie Wing. It's just let's wrap it up while we can here at this point. So we will see how. I'm assuming there's one episode left because we're already on like episode 25 or something. I can
see there maybe being 2. We'll see.
Do you think they'll go 26?
I'm 25 or 26. I don't know.
Well, we're already going to 25, I think, right?
We're this weekend's episode was episode 24. So yeah, you may be right.
So we'll see. Okay, well, I have been kind of dreading talking about this since I watched it this morning, but we have to talk about Heavenly Delusion, or Tengoku Daimakyo, as it's officially listed on Hulu.
As we are wont to say, some choices were made.
Yes. I wasn't here for the last podcast, but I gotta say, that Kai Igarashi episode, really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was great.
That was very good. And I think everything leading up to the end of the second episode here was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I really want to explain exactly what happened, but
I mean, they drive around. In episode 11, episode 11 was mostly a nursery episode, right? We get a lot of plot drops about what's really going on in there, because a new batch of children have arrived.
Yep. Tokyo gives birth to her baby.
Yes. Etc. Etc.
I mean, look, do we just want to rip off the Band-Aid and leap to the thing that we're going to spend most of our time talking about here?
I mean...
Yeah, so...
Kiruko and Maru have caught up to Robin, who is who
person that Kiriko has been looking for.
Yes, who is now part of an organization called the Ministry of Reconstruction, who have sort of built a town around a filtration plant, which provides them with potable water and electricity.
Yeah,
right.
They appear to be putting together a decent facsimile of society. Yeah.
Yes, they have currency, new currency, not the old currency. But Kiriko goes to meet Robin alone, and Robin turns out to be a creepy raper guy.
Yeah. And he assaults Kiriko, and that's where we end the episode.
Yep.
So okay, I'm gonna say what I almost always say when these type of scenes come up, is if you're going to have a scene depicting sexual assault, you better have a damn good reason for it.
Yes.
And I don't feel like that was the case here at all. In fact,
I agree.
I don't, unless there was some kind of cue that I missed or something, like this seems like they're just reversing Robin's character for shock value or something and making him into...
He was always he stomped on those guys in the flashback, told Haruki to not hold back and get guys before they get you. But it is so out of nowhere, right?
There's a long distance between that and rapist.
The other thing I will say is
rapist.
That, this is a show which has cloning and brain transplants. There's no guarantee that the person who looks like Robin actually is Robin. I don't say that with any.
That might make it worse.
Yeah, but no, absolutely, it makes it worse. You know, but I'm not saying that as an excuse for anything. I'm just saying that if you're looking for an explanation, that might be one. But
I'm told that. When I watched this episode yesterday with G, and he told me that in the manga it's way worse. That the anime did a lot to soften it relatively.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully they don't really show much on screen or anything, right?
I think when Iro told me that, I think if you look at that scene, there is a very clear attempt to depict it as first and foremost an abuse of power rather than quote unquote just sexuality. I don't think that makes it better. I think that might make it worse.
When they get into the whole oh, look what I'm doing to the woman you love or whatever stuff. Come on. What is this? What is this accomplishing? This is
I mean, the thing is we need to make the villain threatening and evil, and so making him a creepy raper guy is just so tired and played out.
It's got to be the trusted adult guy.
Part of my issue is that the show so far, I think, has not usually gone for the easy cliches of what it is. You do have your post-apocalyptic bandits or weird compounds in the post-apocalypse, but it's never been in quite so blatant cliche of a way. And then you get to this episode where it's we finally reached our goal of finding the person I was looking for, but oh no, the person I was looking for is bad person.
Yeah.
Right. And it's it feels so. I was just oh, it's just that. And there's nothing here that's interesting to me.
Even if you want to demonstrate that he is now a bad person, there are many, many ways you could do it without subjecting your character to this.
It just doesn't seem like the little bit of build-up that we've had to his character. And I'm not saying that I would buy that he's just, the perfect guy that, she remembers him as, but also there's a big leap from even the slight hint we had of maybe he's not that great a guy to, where we get to. And it's just and it doesn't really serve any narrative purpose or anything, I don't feel but
right.
I think go ahead, Iro, before I get into my
I guess
speech.
I'm worried about when this happens. I look at, because this was the penultimate episode, next episode will be the last episode of this season, and so I look at that look at knowing it's last episode, and I feel like I see the trajectory in my head of what's going to happen, which is like Maru comes in to save Kiruko,
definitely.
And then, they have Robin at their mercy, and Maru's about to stomp on Robin's head or something, and Kiruko says, "No, 100% don't kill him.
There's no way
if you kill him, you'll be as bad as him." And Maru will be like, "Get out of here," and Robin will escape, and then we'll move on, and I don't know, we'll get a scene at the nursery or something, and it's just going to be the same old shit you see in anime all the time, and I see that unfold in my head at the end of, like, while the credits are rolling on this episode, and I'm just like, come on.
Yeah, I agree. I totally think that's going to happen, but yeah, I want to come back to my original feelings on this show, and I think I'll mention I've really liked the show, but I don't know if I've been as high on it as some people. And if you remember when I first started watching, my thing was like, yeah, it's got good characters, good world building, but like, what is the point? Like, I don't know what the point of all of it. What are we doing here? Like, what's the message, or what's the end goal, or what's the purpose? And I feel like this is like the absolute worst manifestation of that. Like, maybe this show is just like,
it's probably going to be something like, and we can struggle to survive and thrive even in the worst of circumstances.
That's so
trite.
I think the inclusion of a scene like this is definitely like a canary in the coal mine moment, right? Like, I think that it is a worrying sign that you feel like you need to, for better or worse, quote unquote, enhance your human drama by chucking in something like this.
I think it leaves me feeling like the show is not as smart as it feels like it should be. If that makes sense.
It's kind of been tiptoeing along the line.
And it's kind of always been like that, but this was like across a line that was like, a completely different level of it. But even anytime the show even tried to touch on like some sort of meaningful theme or something, they kind of broadly gesture at it and don't really explore anything, right? Like, it's just like, so like, is this really just like a series of events simply to build the characters and the world building, and like, there's no, I don't know, meaning to any of it? There's no connective theme or anything. I don't know.
Right. And
you don't necessarily, and not every anime has to have that, but I do feel like the best anime have that. And this show has the level of quality that it could be in the conversation with best anime conversations. And it's maybe I'm getting fooled by the prestigious high production values or something. I don't know.
Can I offer a rebuttal?
But
a partial rebuttal, which is, I think I am one of the people who has been very high on the show up to this point. And I think that it's very difficult, right? Because this is, as we've referred to before, this is a puzzle box show, right? Like, half of the narrative is driven by mystery. And until we know what the resolution of that mystery is, it's difficult to say, whether it will be successful or not successful. What I will say is that I think the show has justified its existence thus far by doing good character work and, good vignettes of the characters and the world. And to me, that's not pointless or, just something which is padding for time while the main plot goes on. I think that there has been genuine skill and craft put into the building of the characters and the
setting.
The setting,
absolutely,
and that kind of thing.
Yes.
And I think, the worrying thing about this instance is that it's not that it doesn't serve a narrative purpose. The narrative purpose is clearly to show that Kiruko / Haruki has been like betrayed in the most serious way by the person that they thought they could trust the most. It's just that the writing has, it is very clearly written by somebody who does not understand the context of including such a scene in kind of like the greater way in which we consume media, and that the environment in which we find ourselves in the real world, and I think, that's worrying because clearly the show is touching on a lot of topics which require a delicate hand. There's been a lot of stuff about, there's human experimentation, there's teen sexuality, there's kind of like the idea of kind of like ordered society versus anarchy or chaos, and I think that the show has been good.
A lot of gender.
Yes, I mean, the gender aspect makes this scene especially uncomfortable.
Yes,
I think that it's transgressive in a way that feels actively hostile, and I'm sure that there are people out there who will argue that's the point. And maybe you've got a stronger stomach than me, but I think that there were ways to communicate this level of betrayal without going to, the most tired, offensive, boring cliches about,
right.
creepy old dudes and pretty young girls. And it's just so steeped in lazy, misogynistic storytelling, and that's, I want the show to prove to me that it's better than this. The problem is the only, an event of this magnitude should be something that has long-term repercussions for the character, but we only have one episode left. That's not enough time to deal with something like this.
G was telling me he wished the show ended 2 episodes ago, or will end 2 episodes later, and it won't. Right.
Yeah, and that's difficult, and so I think it's just, my hope is it is an aberration, that the author decided that he needed to do something to shock and disgust, and made a very short-sighted decision, which hopefully the story will bounce back from. But I think it's hard to defend under any circumstances, which is a shame because I think the rest of the episode is actually quite good.
I think the nursery stuff has been pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually on the other side of it, that stuff has kind of been heating up with things going down. That's been pretty interesting.
In episode 11, when there's a shot of Mihime turns around and I go, "Oh God, those were her ears."
Yes, that was a really good.
What?
Yeah. I was like, wait, did I miss that from before? I was like,
no, they just never.
It's just like we're gonna casually.
There's
drop
still
that.
Tons of great little details. Like when they summon all the children to the pool for a meeting and say, "Don't wear your swimsuits because it's not a swimming lesson," and then dribs and drabs of them still show up wearing swimsuits because they're children and idiots who didn't listen properly. Little details like that bring humanity into the characters in that way.
Mm-hmm. And more hints that they grow up to be Usami and the other girl. They meet the younger. The AI refers to them all as Hiruko. Collectively, the young girl with the sunglasses has illusion eyes.
Yeah, that scene where Mimihime gets fucked up by random wall tentacles is really something.
Yeah,
so they go through it.
The Hiruko in the basement of that building also casts illusions. Mimihime talks about she has some kind of future cognition, and so her great fear, though she does not yet know it, is these sort of surgical tools.
And makes that whole
part
more tragic, right?
Yeah.
And also, it's heavily implied that we see Tokyo has not one but 2 babies, and it's very heavily implied that the second one is a clone.
It's unclear to me if they're twins or if one is a clone or what is going on.
It says baby _ C on that second.
One is Tokyo Junior and one is baby C.
So it is Maru one of those babies, and is that why he's searching for somebody with the same face as him? They're doing a good job of keeping all of that stuff bubbling under.
The guy drew a circle on the one, and Maru is circle, right?
And also everybody's having weird dreams. Several of the characters have admitted that they see weird flying figures in their dreams.
See, that was another good human detail when you had the dream where you can't find your pants.
Yes,
that was great. That was very funny.
You have to go to school and you can't find your pants. That's classic.
There's a test. I can't find my pants.
Yeah.
And again, it's why it's so disappointing, because one crass creative decision has overshadowed all of the good work they have done and continue to do, and I think, to me, my attitude towards the show and, any future the show has, because clearly they're not finishing the story, obviously, but I think a lot will be dictated in how they choose to follow up what they have done, because there are ways to.
Unfortunately, I think I'm with Iroh, where they're going to go with the easy revenge fantasy, and then the don't kill him.
I would be so disappointed if they do that. Like,
I just don't see any other thing they do at this point.
Yeah,
I hope that the show is better than that, but my confidence has been shaken. There's no two ways about it. After that, you can't. And I'm just, it's just so disappointing that, and this isn't even anime, this is media, right, in general, that we still have to endure these tired, cliched, misogynistic portrayals of
I talked to a romance writer once, and they told me, if you want to include an assault scene, it's a narrative equivalent of dropping a nuclear bomb, and so you need to have a very, very good reason to do it.
Right. I don't think that there was a very good reason to do this.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
I have no transition.
Yeah. We're recording. We're still recording on Soletta Sunday. I hope those two crazy girls can make it to this messed up world.
Let's talk about Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury. I have gone full shut off your brain and just follow your heart on this, which is all I need to know.
Have to, right?
Which is fine. I have no problem with this, because I'm very much still enjoying it. All I need to know is Prospera has a big ass space station now.
Yep,
and
it's an space ziggurat.
Yeah, it's the
1,000 drones inside.
It's the most dangerous kind of spaceship, the ominous space tetrahedron.
Yes,
it's the Death Star. It's
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I'm glad this is the manifestation of Quiet Zero, and it's not like just Tang, orange Tang, but
right.
Yeah, so she makes her move.
There's still time.
We can still get there, but Prospera makes her move, and I don't know who she's fighting at this point. It doesn't matter. She's the bad guy, and she's fighting.
She just wants to take over the entire Earth sphere by hijacking all permit. And then, they established 2 episodes ago, everything runs on permit.
Yeah,
By the way, let's strap this backpack to Choo-Choo's demi trainer that makes it not run on permit. How does that work?
Yes.
I don't know, but it does.
I don't know, man.
So that Choo-Choo can be there.
I really feel like they could have put in one line of dialogue about how permit runs everything in the second episode.
Yeah,
it would have been fine. But
that would have made it a lot more ominous when you realize Ariel can control anything with permit, right? But instead of just dropping that at the moment, but that's fine. I'll live with that. The
stuff like that's really filling the episode number squeeze. It's you had 20 episodes of stuff in the second.
Yeah, you could have fit that in somewhere. As tight as things were, you could have fit that in.
The thing
somewhere.
is, though, the show feels at the same time rushed and also curiously laissez-faire. It feels like a lot of this episode is kind of sort of I say this episode, the latest episode, feels like we're sort of meandering a little, and I think they mostly use it for some good character stuff, but I wouldn't exactly describe the pacing as taut at the moment.
Right.
I
wouldn't say the pacing is taut, but I feel like what it is I feel like I'm being shotgunned with bits that I'm this probably needed a little more time to cook. right? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's like
I mean,
everything takes slightly too long because they need to explain this thing in this scene, right? And they didn't have time.
I think we got what we needed, which
Yeah.
was Prospero bad. Suletta gets to talk to Miorine.
Yep. That has a goofy little sword duel with Guel.
Yes,
in a reference to the original ending of the original Gundam, where Char and Amuro duel with swords.
Yes. Suletta does the last shooting pose.
Yep.
Guel can officially join the
good guys team.
stable of himbos this season. But
I'm going to go ahead and say he threw that duel. Like,
yes.
I think it is much more narratively satisfying to believe he threw it.
Well, his little comment afterward, he's like, "I'm such an idiot" or whatever, kind of implied. I thought that he let her win, but it's I'm glad we didn't wait until the end of the show for Suletta and Miorine to talk again.
Yes.
They were reunited just in time for Pride Month. She gets her white suit back.
I think it's to be commended that like there is no kind of like magic moment where Suletta switched from being in despair to like suddenly being proactive.
I might disagree with that. I think it was a couple episodes ago.
I think I'm with you, Zig. Though it wasn't like an
instant.
It wasn't like an unbelievable turn, right? Like,
I mean, I think if you're going to pick a moment, it's probably the bit where she sees Guel's flunky crushed under the stone, right? But I think they've done a pretty good job of like having her turn be gradual and believable. That she's kind of.
I could see how that would have happened over the course of the couple days that they were stranded at the school and she was helping everybody, right? Like, I guess so. I feel like that made sense enough to me. I didn't really have an issue with that.
Sure.
But and I think the place she arrives to makes sense, right? Like after what she went through.
Yeah.
So I think that was good. I liked
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I did like the heart to heart that they did have.
Yeah.
And
you get to see like a messy, hasn't been sleeping Miorine.
Yes. And again, I like with Miorine, she has not been like the perfect child genius, right? Like she's going through it. She's in over her head.
I enjoy that she still has a somewhat antagonistic relationship with her father, even though there is a bit more affection there now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot to like there, and it gets you hyped for Suletta getting in the robot.
Yeah, Gundam Calibarn, which has a literal witch's broom gun.
It's very good. I don't know how common it is in Gundam to ask pull a new Gundam at the end, but sure. It's a pretty cool Gundam.
It's usually a mid-season upgrade, right?
Yeah. It is a little convenient that they were like, oh, hey, we had this Gundam in a box somewhere.
Yeah. That's definitely pulled out of their ass.
Because we didn't see or hear anything about it until last.
No, it's just you have to know about the Tempest or whatever, right? It's like where Prospero has two servants, Ariel and Caliban, right? So yes.
And I mean, I think it's fair to say that the Tempest illusions here are extremely surface level.
But
yep.
Yeah, I mean, we get our big moment with Suletta, unprotected by Ariel's whatever from the data storm. She's got to go through the pain like any other Gundam pilot.
And especially now that she just endure the pain like every other Gundam pilot. B, she's flying into Aries' zone of influence, and there's no outside protection. Aries has like Calibarn's generally enough permit or whatever that Suletta is not just going to be instantly hijacked, but Aries can just like plug into her brain at any point.
Yes,
sort of the implication.
As we see at the end when she just starts talking to her, right? Like Yeah.
Yes.
Also, Eri has 1 billion drones because we needed to make this into an army somehow.
Yep.
So
You can't. I mean, big fight against an army of mooks at the end, I guess. Right. Like.
Also, the plotline with Lauda is still going.
Yes.
For some reason,
Lauda has gotten to Gundam Schwarzette and is attacking.
They had to get Schwarzette out there somewhere, right?
I guess.
That thing just feels like that plot just feels so peripheral to
that. Really does feel like we need to sell another Gunpla kit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was you who said as well. They need something for Guel to do in the finale, right? Like so.
Plus, you're about to know who will live, who will die.
I think everyone will live.
Yeah, I agree that I think everyone
except
will live.
maybe Prosper.
Well, how deep? I mean,
on the good guy's side.
I don't think anybody will die on the good guy's side. I think it would be very dramatic for Guel to have to kill Lauda, but I do not think that will happen. I think everyone will live.
I would see. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out, but I would see that as like Guel's like personal emotional redemption would be fighting his brother and not killing him.
Right.
But
yeah, I think you can make an argument either way, depending on how cynical you want to be about the whole thing.
I don't really care that much about that particular conflict. Like Guel's cool, I'm cool, but
Bob's redemption arc.
Yeah, Bob's fine, but if he's already gone through his redemption arc at this point.
I think he's been kind of boring the last few episodes, honestly.
Because he's already seen enough dead kids, like
but it's just I kind of feel that they're coasting to the finish a little, which it's still a lot of fun, but I don't necessarily feel like they have cranked the hype all the way to maximum for the finish. It definitely feels like the pieces are falling into place the way we thought the pieces were falling.
I don't think we'll get. Go ahead.
Do we know for sure the episode count?
I assume 24.
Okay.
Right. I mean, that's a reasonable assumption if you ask me. But from Mercury.
Yeah.
Episodes.
I'm just curious if we have 2 or 3 more episodes or how many we have left, but because the latest one was 22, right? So we should have at least 2.
Yeah. I would not be surprised if there is a postscript episode as well, like an entire episode for wrap up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we pretty much end this episode with Suletta's going to have to fight.
It's going
Ariel,
to be.
right?
Wait. I'm seeing conflicting reports on 24 or 25, but I'm seeing more that say 24.
Sure, but definitely not 26.
Definitely not 26.
Well, we know there's at least 2 episodes left, which is some time. So, we leave off, like I was saying, Suletta looks like she's going to have to fight Ariel.
Yep. I think it'll ending will be like fine. I'm not seeing anything here that's going to I don't see anything on the horizon that'll blow me away. Like maybe there will be something, but I don't think we're going to get any. I don't think there'll be any Sekiha level of Tenkyoken and the end of G Gundam type like melodrama. As much as it'd be nice.
I mean, I think, we've been saying for several podcasts now that G-Witch is a much more character-oriented show than plot-oriented. And for the most part, I think that's been the right decision. But you do kind of feel that at the end here when the plot is meant to be at its most important, right? And it kind of feels like, as I said, they're coasting a little. I would love to be proven wrong. Again, I would love for them to pull out something dramatic and really heavy at the last minute. But I don't necessarily think that we're going to be super surprised by how it goes.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
We enjoyed it so far. And next episode, Suletta going to look at the camera and say, "What if I said to kill all Japanese?"
And no, it's not. We're not going to go that far. I feel pretty good about that.
I don't know. Bring up, Valkyrie.
One thing I would be interested to see is if they have a face-to-face confrontation between Suletta and Prospera.
I think
Yeah,
I would like them too. I think that is like the core of the conflict here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not unheard of, real robot finales, Gundam finales take place entirely like cockpit to cockpit, so we'll have to see. But I hope, because I think that is the most, emotionally resonant showdown that there is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
And who knows how that'll go, because I don't think Prospera seems to... I mean, she has had some level of care for Suletta, but she doesn't really look at her as like her real daughter or whatever, but
she's going to be upset when she has to kill her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, will those two crazy kids
be
able to
just
make
let
it
those
in this
kids be
world?
happy. Yeah, let them get their dresses and their rings and get married and live happily ever after. All right. I think that's going to do it for this episode then.
Vinland Saga's good, but like it's only got one episode left, so we can just save it for the wrap up. I think.
Yeah, for the sake of time, we were kind of had to pick what are we going to talk about this time, but we'll have a chance next episode to kind of go over.
It's good. Spoiler
seasons. Yeah. Well, hey, I've been saying if next season sucks, maybe I'll get around to watching that.
The Vinland Saga catch up. We give to watch 48 episodes of Vinland Saga.
It's sure looking like next season good. I can double up. So we'll see. But all right. Let's go get to our housekeeping. You can check us out at the GLORIO blog. Follow us on Twitter at GLORIO blog or co-host at GLORIO. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and on YouTube, where you can like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, all those good things. Tell us what shows you're looking forward to next season, if there are any. Maybe we've missed something.
Well, hey, if something turns out to be way better than anybody thought, let us know so we can check it out.
Just don't, if you're going to tell me that it is, my unique skill makes me OP even at level 1, you better have a good argument for it, is all I'm saying. And tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll catch everybody next time.